All right, we are live. Shalom, shalom. Mount Zion 144K again with another Shabbat class. Picking up where we left off. Quick recap for those who want to keep up with the Chronicle series that we're doing here in Genesis. More than halfway through here, we're going to start up at Genesis 37. And as you can see from the bottom of the title here, we got a continuation going to 37 into 40. We're going to go into Joseph's dreams. Then we're going to go into Judah and Tamar, Joseph and the Pharaoh's wife, the dream of the prisoners, when Joseph sold into captivity by his brothers, all of that. So we've reached that portion of Genesis, and we're going to go ahead and go through those. And brothers are going to pull precepts as they see fit as we go through it. So Brother Zaria, whenever you're ready, go ahead and give a quick shalom to the people, and we'll go ahead and start it with Genesis 37 whenever you're ready.
I want to say shalom to all Israel, and I hope everybody has had a blessed Sabbath and got rest and studied the Bible, and and we got to keep this thing going.
Slakia, real quick, shout out to everybody keeping Hanukkah or Feast of Dedication. I know we're in that season. Some have already done it. Some are about to do it. So for those who are keeping the feast days, shalom to you, and may the Most High bless.
Khan, all praises. But we could get started out.
Khan, whenever you're ready, King.
Khan, this is Genesis 37:1. And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son.
Slakia. When it says that evil report, it means that they told a lie. We also see the same phrases used when the Israelites gave a report of the Canaanites that were in the land when they were sent to send spies. And they said, we're like grasshoppers in their sight, meaning like they're too mighty for us. And they told this great tale of how mighty the Canaanites were, and they basically didn't want to go to battle. And then they ended up wanting to go to battle later, but then the Most High was like, no, you didn't want to do it when I told you to. So, you know what I mean? It's not your basically your battle's not going to be blessed. So that's what when you see evil, that when you see that phrase like that, it's talking about someone giving a false story or an outright lie.
Verse 3. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaf stood round about, and made obedience to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shall thou...
So for those, the sheaf is talking about like a bundle of wheat, and he's having a dream, and there's a bundles of wheat that represent his brethren, And then there's a bundle of wheat that represents him, and it's taller than all the other ones, and all the other ones seemingly bow down to the one that was in the middle, which represent Joseph. And that dream, we're going to get to that later in the story, but he's interpreting this dream for those who, to make it a little easier to understand. Those sheaves that they're talking about is called as something similar to bundles of wheat, so you can get a picture of what's going on here. That's all.
Verse 8. And his brethren said to him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream and told it his brethren and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars may obedience to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee to the earth? And his brethren envy him. But his father observed the same. Verse 13, no, Salakia. Verse
Salakia,
12.
can I weigh in real quick, Akim?
Khan, please.
Khan.
Hear me?
Oh, we can hear you now.
Khan, floor is yours, Adawan.
Okay, I just wanted to say something real quick, just on that whole thought, dealing with how the mindset that Israel have and how we had it back then, and when we're reading these prophecies back in the day, in ancient time, when we read and how no people is going to rule over us and how Esau is going to take over and how we're going to be serving. That's just the same mindset that we had then, as thinking of Esau when he said no people in Deuteronomy the 32 or I think 32nd chapter will rule over you, a people that's a no people whose tongue you can't even understand. That's the mindset of our people, that how he gonna rule over us. That's the same mindset that Esau got of how we gonna rule over them, because right now we like a no people in our status as far as our position in society today. But that's the same mindset that we had of Esau, the same mindset that Esau or Israel had of Joseph, of how you going to be ruling over us, even though we know this was fulfilled when we went down into Egypt, and Joseph ruled over our people. But it's the same thing, like the mindset of, oh, how this going to happen? He's having visions, and just like now, the prophet had the vision, he wrote it down, and we dealing with Esau ruling over us. How's that going to happen? That's why we got to be strong and keep the faith when he say we're going to rule over them again. A lot of brothers, I've seen brothers over the years come and go, come into the faith and fall out because they lose faith. It's like, it's hopeless. We never going to rule. And I think Karashi was just telling me the other day, right, where somebody was saying that we one of the brothers, we all know who the brother, I ain't gonna say no names, lost the faith and said, you know what? Esau's going to rule forever. We just need to be about love and peace and forget about prophecies, and we're going to reject everything. That's the mindset that Esau had, or Israel had then, and Israel got now. And at the end of the day, what the Most High say is going to happen. Joseph is going to rule over the 12 tribes, the 12 sons. Hit the mute on yours. It's listening.
God.
Salakia, I'm getting feedback. But that's just the mindset of our people. That's why we don't want to get too bugged out on dates or nothing. When he say a prophecy, bam, we just gonna leave it right there. The Most High said it's gonna happen. I don't know when, but that's what it is. We ain't gonna fight the Bible. We ain't gonna fight prophecies. We ain't gonna fight none of that. We just gonna roll with it. But go ahead, Ak, read on.
God. This is verse 12. And his brethren went to feed their flocks, their father's flocks in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flocks in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the valley of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. So we can see that he's over here searching his brothers, doing what his father commanded him to do, to check up on his brethren. And it's verse 17. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit, and we will.
Salakia. That's extremely wicked, right?
God, it's
That's
like
something
Cain
that,
spirit.
hey, that's something that we just wouldn't do right now. Well, we say that anyway. We say it's wicked, and we say what we would do and we wouldn't do. But at the end of the day, this is Israel thinking that they're going to take prophecy into their own hands and just force the Most High's hand or force prophecy to go the way they wanted it to go. That's why when I read a lot of these scriptures in the Old Testament, a lot of these stories, you just be thinking like, damn, these brothers is wicked. How would they do something like that? Why would you come up with something like that? How could you do that? But in the day, we still sin every day. You see that? So at the end of the day, the Most High is looking at us like, damn, how could you do that? How could you do that?
Come on.
But it's Israel, again, in that same mindset of, oh, this guy is nothing. We downplaying the spirituality behind this. We ain't looking at it with a spiritual eye. Israel, Jacob, is the only one that's like, yo, let me check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Israel, like we got Jake, stiff-necked Jake today, in the same mindset of, oh, I can only go by what I see. See, Joseph wasn't nothing because they couldn't see it. It ain't real to us as Israelites unless it's money or it's something that can benefit me right now. See that? That's why we got to be down with the move of the Most High, because at the end of the day, he set Joseph up. That's why we can't fight prophecy. We can't get mad. Like in Kentucky, they said 70 people was put to sleep by the Most High with the tornadoes. You see that? Hey, I can't be like, yo, the Most High, these people died and be sad. I've seen posts all over the social media where everybody's sad and they salty about how these people died. My heart go out to these people. I'm like, well, mine don't. I got to go with the Most High. One of them dead. I got to go with what His will is. At the end of the day, he wanted them gone. I don't know. I didn't see.
That's judgment.
I didn't see who, if it was Jake or if it was Esau. I don't know who it was. But at the end of the day, that's what the Most High wanted. Even if it was Jake, like even I got a family member that got shot, murdered by the police, and everybody was sad and miserable. And everybody was in that whole move, and I'm like, yo, at the end of the day, it's messed up, but it's what the Most High wanted. Because if He didn't want it, it ain't going to happen. So we can't force something, or we can't make something not happen. Only thing we can do is be in the same mindset and just flow with the Spirit. Most High wanted this way. That's what it is. So if the Most High wanted Joseph to be king over us, that's what it is. The Most High want Esau to be king over us. What we gonna do? Start a what they call that, a coup? We're gonna spark off a revolution.
Insurrection.
An insurrection like Trump.
You can't even see prophecy, so how history? I said no man can see prophecy, so how we gonna establish the history or the present?
Right. So at the end of the day, hey, the Most High, if the brother said he had a vision, okay, well, let's see what happens. That's got to be the mindset. What's going to happen? We see all these prophecies in the Bible. Hey, we got to sit back and let it play out. The Most High said straight up that he's going to have his way in the whirlwind. So he went through Kentucky, a racist state of devils, going back to the Covington with the Cincinnati, the brothers with the HOI Chief Ephraim. Them was racist devils. And those same racist devils, the same ones that was wearing blackface. So I'm going to be salty because the Most High went through there and wiped out them devils? No. It is what it is. It's the Most High. It's the movie making. And you got Jake again, just like Jake is now, and is about to celebrate Witchmas. Going to try to force the move. I'm going to force the move. We're going to put him to death, and he ain't going to never rule over us. So go ahead, brother.
Khan. This is verse 20. It says, "Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into some pit. And we will say, some evil beasts have devoured him, and we shall see what will become of his dreams."
You see that? Just like I just said. We're going to see what comes of his dreams when he's put to death. But go ahead, brother.
Khan. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands.
And this is the same Reuben, Salakia, the same Reuben that we say are the Seminole, so-called Seminole, or the Florida natives. Why do we say that? Going back to this verse right here. Reuben has this big brotherly spirit on him. Outside of what we read in the prophet or in the history, how we see how there's them identifying themselves as Israelites when Esau came for originally hit the scene in America. Outside of that, but the spirit of Reuben of I'm gonna take up for my little brother, the same big brother, the older brother spirit that you ain't gonna do nothing to my little brother. I ain't gonna let you kill him. The same spirit that he had on us when we was in slavery, when he was doing the Gullah Wars, when he was getting Negroes up out of slavery and setting them up. He wasn't just, keeping them oppressed, but he's actually like the other Native American tribes, our Israelite brothers that was buying our brothers and keeping them in slavery. These brothers down in Florida was like, yo, these is our brothers. We're going to buy them out of slavery, and we're going to put guns in their hands to fight against you devils and let them marry our women and live happily ever after with us. Because you ain't going to do that to my brother. That's the same
Slakia.
Joseph. Or not Joseph, but Reuben. Oh, but go ahead, brother.
Yeah, what you just mentioned, that's documented history so much to the fact that I believe it was the Spanish conquistadors at that point in time. I could be wrong, but whoever was who had the Israelites under slavery at that point, it was just the Native Americans at first. A lot of people don't realize that. And then once they started dwindling in number, they started getting the Africans from over in Africa, and they couldn't differentiate the two once they got them together. All they knew is these are the Africans we got from Africa, and these are the Africans that were already here. So once they did that, they started, like you said, they started to band together, start militias, and they started to free themselves and attack like the supply lines and things like that. And they got real close, and they were teaching each other different things, like how to use the different properties and the different uses of okra, of eggplant, of things like that. And they're exchanging recipes and things like that. So us mingling together started here when we got here, and they started mixing us on the boats and sending us around the Atlantic the second time. This is all after the first slave trade. And that's it.
Khan, that's that same spirit, that same big brother spirit. And that's the same spirit that did not stop beating the hell out of the so-called white man until what date? 1864. The Reuben Florida natives were never conquered by the so-called white man, which links up to what? Genesis 49 and Deuteronomy 33, right? When he says, Joseph, what did he say? Reuben shall live and not die. I believe that's what it said. They were never overtaken by the so-called white man. They surrendered and became and make a pact with the so-called white man in 1864 when they left the Negroes alone and so-called released us from slavery. But they were never conquered because it was using, like the brother said, guerrilla warfare. Esau couldn't do nothing with that. What was that, brother?
The Florida Everglades.
Come in Florida, there was a warfare that Esau was not prepared for, to go to them swamps and to go up in them trees and it was so bad that Andrew Jackson, one of the worst devils that ever lived, besides Antiochus Epiphanes and a few others, when he saw that he couldn't do nothing with the Florida natives, that man went right to the women and children and started attacking the villages. That's the kind of devil that we're dealing with. Now we were so he was so solidified in knowing that he destroyed the so-called white man, that he would go battles with him. Just for nothing, just start attacking towns and villages with the so-called white man. And say, yeah, come on, bring it on. So he never was defeated. So let Reuben not die. Prophecy
Salakia, one more little piece of information.
But go ahead.
Like you said, around that same time, this is in 1502. And I believe it was the conquistadors, because it says the Spanish governor begged King Ferdinand to stop sending African slaves to the colony. It says because they fled amongst the Indians and taught them bad customs. And it says and could never be captured. So that goes right into what you were saying. This could be found in what is this? It says the Inret page, Inret Jones. It's INRERHETT Jones, and that's on page 7. If anybody wants to look that up. But yeah, that's documented history of them not being able to be caught mixing in with the other Israelites, forming militias, and giving them outright hell.
Khan, read on, brother.
Khan, this is Genesis 37 and verse 21. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into this pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again.
See that spirit? You see that? He just didn't have it in him to put his brother to death, like that spirit that Simeon and Levi got. Like he said, when they come together, it could be a bad thing. Like that warrior spirit that Dan got, the warrior spirit that Judah got, that spirit of I'll destroy you. Reuben didn't have that. Even though he was a vicious lion that could, he wasn't willing to go so far as to put his hand to his own brother. So that's that same spirit that we always had with Reuben. But read on, brother.
Verse 23. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat, and his coat of many colors that was on him. And they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came from Gilead, where their camels bearing spiceries and bloom and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren,
and Judah, the same spirit that we see arise in the 70s, right after we
Judah.
From the so-called white man in the 60s, that Dolomite spirit was that them pimp movies, Superfly. That same spirit resurfaced in the 70s.
Not Dolomite,
right. Black exploitation. Read on, brother.
God. Verse 26. And Judah said unto his brethren, what profit is it if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites.
Let us
And
make some money. That's the spirit of Judah. Always trying to make a buck, man. It's that same spirit that we even got this very day when you got one so-called brother that is selling another brother crack rock. Who else does that? That same spirit where a man would sell his own mother a crack rock, man, prostitute his sister, and then have her shaking her ass on videos talking about bands that make it dance, strippers. That same spirit, man. That's Jake, man.
They're the first bankers.
Oh, go ahead.
I was saying, Judah was the first bankers of the tribes. That's why, you see these international bankers they took Judah's place, but in wickedness. But we were the Rothschilds and those guys who were running countries and dealing with them on a financial level. Not even having the numbers and power, but they had the money. Solomon, one of the first bankers. Nations were bringing tribute to him, you see, to Solomon. And he loved that gold.
God.
Judah loved that gold. The gold chains, the gold teeth. That's all Judah. Because gold is the real money.
God.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to trickle down to the tribes. When you go see them Indians, like down here in Belize, the Native Americans love having them gold teeth.
And Judah should be the one that the brethren shall praise.
Mm-hmm.
Judah do it, they do it. Whatever songs Judah be with, the tribes do it in their way, each tribe.
Right.
And they all coming to America to what Judah built. Every nation's coming to what Judah built. And the things he invented are around the world,
And you can tell how Israel, we was the ones that invented and came up with all these inventions that the so-called white man took credit for. Like I just seen a clear example of it today or the other day when my car was in the shop, and the dude, like, in America, they got computers and they got tools that can do specific jobs. These Negroes see that there's a problem and identify a way to come up out of it. See, if you're sitting up there on the porch or you sit up there beating slaves, you're not coming up with better ways to do a job for inventions. It's those guys in the details that's coming up with the inventions, and that's us, man. Like the little Belizean dude was really, he was a what tribe is this down here? Zebulonite. He was a tribe of Zebulon. Little Indian dude, little Mayan Indian. This dude came up with a way. I'm like, yo, I don't know how he gonna do this. I'm like, to me, it would be impossible. I would have to go to the part store and get the proper tool. This man jerry-rigged up a tool, made something up to get the screw out that he needed to get out. I don't know how he did it. I'm like, yo, I would have had to use a blowtorch. Oh, that's what he was trying to do. He's trying to take off an exhaust manifold off a motor that is rusted. It became one with the motor because the motor gets so hot and that the metal actually melts, the iron melts and become one with the engine block. This guy said, oh no, we got a method on how we get that off. We do this. That's us using the spirit that the Most High gave us, first of all. Second of all, being hands-on to be able to come up with the tool that we need, which would be an invention. But Esau took credit for everything. Like, he was the one doing the work. But read on, brother. Go ahead.
Verse 27. Come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were content.
And he know good and well his brethren was good with the move, which was off. And he knew that Ishmael would buy him because they demons like that. That same Ishmaelite Arab slave trade that we went through, that they're gonna have to be dealing with, that they got to deal with the judgment on. See, every nation had a hand of our captivity, so they're gonna have to pay for it. Why they gonna have to pay for it? Not because I'm mad. I mean, I didn't feel none of it, but it's prophecy with the Most High for that nation that oppress y'all. He's gonna judge. Read on, brother.
Slakia.
No, go ahead.
Also, you got to think about it in more of an Israelite culture aspect. Selling him to another Israelite, according to what is that, Leviticus 25, that would do them no good either, because then their dad could just go buy him back and they'd blow up their whole story. You see what I'm saying? So it was in their best interest to sell him to another nation. That way he'd be far off.
Right. And they wasn't trying to sell him according to no law. I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly my point.
God, but go ahead, brother. Read on.
Verse 28. Then there passed by Midianites, merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph into Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. And he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? It says, and they took Joseph's coat and killed a kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father and
poor
said,
little goat. That poor little sheep got put to death for nothing.
God.
Just to put his blood on the coat, he had to give up his life. And I'm gonna tell you like this. Before, I wouldn't have gave a damn about an animal. I go to the store and just kill some meat, right? When I was in America. But being down here, and when you've been around the goats and the sheep, and you start to like them, and they feel like pets and family, you start to love them. So it ain't so easy to kill them.
The Lord want us to transfer that to humans to feel that.
Right.
Okay. But we started to get so cold. I'm gonna deal with that woman 3 times. I'm gonna get 3 sheep so I can go deal with that brother's wife. See, that wasn't the point. The thing was, feel for your goats, because if you keep sinning, you're gonna have no goats and sheep left.
Right.
And then that's why the Lord had become that lamb, because a lamb just takes your place. You're supposed to be dying. Now Christ is a lamb that'll take your place, and he can talk to you before you make that decision. And if you do, you could talk to the Father to try. See, that's why it had the whole sacrifice had to advance from just us taking our place and the Lord doing with it, from the animal taking our place to now no one taking your place. You are going to stand like Christ did and stand up and take it. Because the animals, you're gonna kill them all off the way we was taking it, man. So we have to right now, all that law done away with, that's just fake Israelites just wanted to keep doing sin and find everlasting loopholes.
That's what it boils down to.
Everlasting, I can do this, do that, get away, boom, boom. Look at Esau. This is a world of loopholes.
Right. Hey, get this precept real quick, brother. Hold what you got and get Hebrews 10 and 26. That lines right up to what the elder bringing out. You gotta feel something for these animals, man. You gotta feel something. Like, we got a sheep called Miguel. We named him Miguel.
Kill your own self.
But I bought this sheep when he was a baby, man. He'd been around. It was him and his dad. When I bought him, I didn't feel nothing. So we put his dad right to death and had a lamb barbecue, right? He was here when we did that. Yeah. We ate lamb. I believe he was here. You were a lawyer, one of y'all. So we put Miguel's dad to death. I didn't feel nothing, but after a while, I watched Miguel go from a little baby to grow up. He'd been around. He'll walk up to me. You can pet him, touch him, whatever. He ain't got no problem. He'll eat right out of your hand. He loves me. I love him back. So it ain't gonna be so easy for me to kill Miguel. And now the Most High said, I don't want you to kill Miguel. When you read Isaiah, the 1st chapter, he said, enough with that animal sacrifice. Away with that with me. You're missing the point. Just stop sinning. At the end of the day, just stop sinning. Stop breaking the commandments. So the Most High said, I'm done with that. He sent Yahushua, right? This is what he said about if you keep on sinning, although he sent Yahushua. The churches want to teach us that, oh yeah, well, now that Christ came, the law's done away with. Christ nailed all my sins to the cross, so I can eat all the pork I want and celebrate Christmas, do New Year's, Easter, celebrate all Satan's unholy days, marry a homosexual, be a fornicator, sleep with your damn wife and your daughter and your son, Eddie Long, and everything's supposed to be forgiven. Like the brother, like one of the brothers that used to be with us, literally said, it's all about forgive because Christ said they know not what they do. Let's see if Hebrews is saying that. Yeah. Read that, brother.
Hebrews 10 and 26.
That's right.
Hebrews 10 and 26. For if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. But want me to just read that one, or want me to keep going?
You see that? You keep on sinning anyway. All that lady that dude's wipe out 3 times. First of all, it's gonna get expensive. Second of all, that's you think Most High don't like right?
Family, now you got no food for him because hit a woman.
Yeah, just because you want to go pop the brother's wife.
You ain't got no food for your it kills. It trickles down. You know,
just letting you know. I'm not dealing with it. Sacrifice. Cover that with sacrifice.
You didn't max out your divine credit card.
Right.
Now it's declined.
Right.
You went past that, man.
He said, you keep sinning, you ain't got no sacrifice. That's what Romans said. I can't go with a Negro talking. I got to go to Romans. Read on, brother.
God. This is Genesis 37 and verse 32. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought
Hebrews, brother. Read on.
Want me finish the Hebrews? Oh, I got it. Let me start at verse 26 again. It says, for if we sin willfully after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation which shall devour the adversaries. He that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. Of how much sore punishment suppose ye shall he be thought worthy, who have trodden under
everything extremely.
Shalom, Marcus. Can y'all hear me?
It's just it is. Con, I can hear you.
Shalom, Marcus. Con. Yeah,
Con, I can hear you. All right.
Oh, Con. I was making sure everybody can hear me.
No, it just went out on me. Did it go out on y'all too?
No, I kept going.
Okay, well, the point is the fearful looking so that's all the Most High is dealing with. You ain't dealing with trying to do the right thing because you know what the Most High. You finished. Died under the law, so if he was going by the animals under 2 or 3 witnesses, now if we continue to move like that, the Most High really ain't dealing with us. Get Romans 8 and 3. He says you get worse than death. So we got to feel something for these animals, man. Get that, brother. Romans 8 and 3. And this is another scripture that the people in Christianity is wrapped up in religion always get twisted. And they try to say, well, we ain't got to keep the laws no more based on this. Read that. Romans 8, 3.
Con, this is Romans 8 and 3. For what the law could not do, and that it was weak through the flesh, God sending his own son in the likeness of sinful flesh, and for his sin condemned sin in the flesh, that the righteousness of the law might be fulfilled in us who
So
walk
they'll
not
take
as
this and they'll run all the way to outer space. Salaka, you there? Can you hear me?
Con.
I hear you now.
Okay. So Christianity like to take this and go all the way to outer space. Well, this is what he's talking about. You continuing to murder these animals because you want to continue to do what you want to do, like Genesis 7. Is going off. The Most High is not dealing with you putting animals to death at all, and he never was, and it was just a temporary solution until he sent Yahushua that was already factored into it anyway. Before he even wrote the law of sacrifice, when you read that in what is that? Leviticus chapters 1 through chapter 8, before he put all that in there, that was already determined that he was going to do that, one, and two, it was only for a time until Christ came. When you read Genesis 49 and 8 on down. So he already knew he was going to do that. It wasn't no weakness. It wasn't like the Most High made a mistake. No, he was putting this clause in there for when you do mess up. He putting this clause in there so you can do right, not so you can take it and just be wicked. So yeah, no, it was never about killing animals and sacrificing nothing. It's all about being obedient and not doing what the ancients did. So yeah, we acknowledge that the ancients did off things, and Israel off things, and they still do off things, but that don't mean it ain't all a part of the Most High's plan and the spirit ain't working. Like when Jacob supplanted Esau. Yeah, we can look at that like, yo, that wasn't right that Rachel did that, but it was a part of the Most High's plan. Not was her name Rebecca. It was a part of the Most High's plan. He told Rebecca about Jacob, about Isaac before, about Israel before the whole thing came about. Yo, Israel, your son is going on. You already forewarned her. So no, she didn't do nothing wicked. That was going off by trying to put it on anyway. It was him. Even though him going off was still a part of the Most High's plan. It's all a part of the Most High's plan anyway. So like I said, we just gotta flow with it. You can't fight the spirit. It's gonna fight back. We learn that if we learn can't fight the spirit, we're gonna be a lot less stressful life. But read on in Genesis, brother.
There's Genesis 37 and 32. And they sent the coat of many colors, and they brought it to their father, and said, they have Salaki, and said, this have we found. Know now whether it be thy son's coat or no. And they knew it and said, it is my son's coat, and evil beasts have devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes and put sackcloth upon his loins and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. And he said, for I will go down into the grave until my son's mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt unto Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh's and captain of the guard. That was the end of that chapter.
Con, the water.
Gunner, you see that, Aki? Gunner, you see that, Aki? He said he was going to go down into the grave mourning. But when you read in the law, the Most High told us to get all our grief out over a 30-day period. A month. But that's the history of Israel, man. This is kind of stuff that we gotta learn. I want to know 1,000 breakdowns, but we don't know nothing about Israel. I'm an Israelite.
Exactly.
But you don't know nothing about none of this history. This is stuff that we children.
That's that Romans 2.
Wives. Everybody should know these examples because it's wisdom in it, and it's our history. It's who we are. Israel. I'm an Israelite, but I can't tell you nothing about an Israelite, but I could cut a Christian. So we gotta grow past that. We gotta grow past the YouTube and the social media and the cutting and the Times Square and all that. We gotta grow past that and get into, we gotta apply this. We should be rehearsing this, rehearsing these righteous acts. This is really stuff that should be getting taught in school. They don't even teach the scriptures in school in America. Down here in Belize, they do teach the scriptures. They teach my children the stories and everything.
Genesis, and it was right. Except one verse, but they was right. Genesis, the first chapter. I'm like, okay, this basic. Man, I never seen that in America. And I didn't even see that in church.
Right.
And that was for teaching children.
Mm-hmm. So they trying to take the Bible in Babylon, hell, Sodom and Gomorrah, Egypt, so-called, AKA America. They want to take the Bibles out of America, period. Let alone school. They ain't trying to give it to them in school. But down here, the tribe of Manasseh, Dan, Judah, and Benjamin, it's 4 tribes down here. They go through it. They learn it. This is a part of growing up as a child. Everybody gonna know these Bible verses. So this is what we gotta get back to as Israelites. But if anybody got anything else they got out of that chapter, if they want to bring it out, go ahead. The floor is yours.
No, that's it. We can go ahead and start on the next chapter, and then I'll take the last 2 chapters.
This is Genesis 38:1. And it came to pass at that time that Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hirah. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite, whose name was Shua, and he took her and went in unto her, and she conceived and bare a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Onan. And she yet again conceived and bare a son, and called his name Shelah. And he was at Shazib when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go in unto thy brother's wife, and marry her, and raise up seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went in unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest that he should give seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord, wherefore he slew him also. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house.
Slocky, I want to pull the precept really quick. I'm just trying to pull it up in my sword. So, people may think that that's very weird, just looking at that story from the outside looking in. But like the elder eloquently brought out earlier, you have to know Israelite culture. If you don't know Israelite culture, then you can just say any old thing. Oh, that's weird, or why would they? We're gonna show you why why they did that. We're gonna we ain't gotta pull it. I'll go ahead and read it. I got it here. It's gonna be Deuteronomy 25:5. It says, if brethren dwell together and one of them die, in this case, that's what happened. It says, and have no child. Ban. Slakia. Khan. And it says, and have no child. It says, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. So she's not allowed to go just get with anybody. She has to be within an Israelite. And if we're talking inheritance, she has to stay within his family. Ban. I'm going to cut it off. Stop it. It says, her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of the husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of the brother which is dead. So they were doing that according to this law in Deuteronomy. Well, not according to this law, but you know what I mean. But that just shows that it's Israelite custom that we do that. So when someone dies, so that their name isn't forgotten out without Israel, so their inheritance stays within the family. That was our custom to do that. There's more on that, but I'm not going to go into it. You can go ahead and finish out.
Khan. This is verse 12. And process of time, the daughter of Shua, Judah's wife, died, and Judah was comforted and went up unto his sheep shearers to Timnath, he and his friend Hirah, the Adulamite. And it was told Tamar, saying, behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnath to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her with a veil, and wrapped herself, and sat in an open place, which is by the way of Timnath. For she saw that Shelah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. When Judah saw her, he thought her to be an harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way, and said, go to, I pray thee, let me come in unto thee. For he knew not that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, what wilt thou give me, that thou mayest come in unto me? And he said, I will send thee a kid from the flock. And she said, wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, what pledge shall I give thee? And she said, thy signet and thy bracelets and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it her, and came in unto her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away and lay by Salaki. And she arose and went away and lay by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. Hey, but we see Salaki, y'all, but we see Judah here being a trick. And today's
Judah. Con.
I'm gonna keep reading. Verse 20. And Judah sent the kid by hand of his friend the Adulamite to receive his pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. Then he asked the men of that place, saying, where is the harlot that was openly by the wayside? And they said, there was no harlot in this place. And he returned to to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of the place said that there was no harlot in this place. And Judah said, Let her take it, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. Behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after that it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, has played the harlot. And also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, Bring her forth and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man whose these are, am I with child? And she said, Discern, I pray thee, whose are these? The signet, bracelet, and staff. And Judah acknowledged them and said, She has been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not to Shelah my son, and he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that the one put out his hand, and the midwife took and bound upon his hand a scarlet thread, saying, This came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out, and she said, How hast thou broken forth this breach? Be upon thee. Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterwards came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zara.
Khan, the water.
Uh,
Anybody got anything they want to bring out or add before we move on to the next chapter?
well, I see this like once Judah found out that his daughter-in-law played the harlot, he was ready to burn her because he felt like she was going off. But she presented the things that were given to her, and he acknowledged like, damn, I'm wrong. I'm as guilty, but because he knew better. He even said it himself. I should have given it to
Yeah,
my
that's what I was
daughter-in-law.
gonna say. I was like, he didn't have that same spirit when the shoe was on the other foot.
Exactly. That mercy. That's that mercy. Because he was ready to burn her. So I noticed all that too.
Con. So we're gonna go ahead and go to chapter 39 here. All right, so this is Genesis chapter 39, verse 1. It says, And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and to Potiphar, the officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard of the Egyptian, brought him into the hands of the Ishmaelites. It says, which brought him down thither. It says, And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was with the house and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in the sight, and he served him, and he made him oversee over his house and all that he had to put in his hand. So everything that the Pharaoh had, he saw that if I give it to Joseph, it's going to double, maybe even triple, because the Lord is with him. Whatever he's doing is getting blessed. So it's in my best interest to hand over everything I got to this man right here, even though he's not an Egyptian. Says he put in his hand, verse 5. It says, And it came to pass at the time that he had made him overseer in his house, that all over that he had, he made him overseer of his house, or all over that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sakes, and blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in his house and the field. It says, and he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not that Slakia. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save bread which he did eat. For Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass that after these things, his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in this house, and hath committed all that he has to my hand. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither have I kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. He says, then how can I do this great wickedness and I sinned against God? So Joseph is saying, I'm put in high esteem. The only thing that's off limits is you. So I can't then stab him in the back by going to that sleep with his wife. It's just in Jake terms. Y'all seen what's that movie? Was that Friday After Next? Well, when he invited Craig in the house, and Uncle Elroy told him, he said, "You welcome to anything in my house." He said, don't let me catch you in your refrigerator, and let you catch your finger in my sugar bowl. You feel me knocking? And I was like, bruh, you can have anything you want. Don't touch my snacks and don't touch my woman. Those are 2 rules they had. You see what I'm saying? Now Joseph was put in that same position. Bro, you got free reign. Just don't touch my woman. So that's what he's trying to relate to her. You trying to put all of this in jeopardy, and he's trying to, we're gonna see how Joseph handles this, whether he uses wisdom or if he gonna fall like other mighty men in the Bible. Let's see. There's great wickedness against and sin against God. It says, and it came to pass, and she spake to Joseph day by day, and hearkened unto and he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, nor to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there within. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and fled, and got out and got him out. He says, and it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, see that he has brought in a Hebrew unto us to mock us, and he has came unto me to lie with me. And I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, and when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. And she lied. She laid up his garment by her, and until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came into me to mock me. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass that his master heard the voice of his wife, which he spake unto him, saying, after this manner did the servant to me that which his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, and place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and he showed mercy, and he gave him favor in the sight of the keepers of the prison. It says, and the keepers of the prison committed to Joseph's hands all the prisoners that were in the prison, and whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. So he was given shot. He was a shot caller in jail, basically. That's what it basically came down with. The Most High was with him, even in captivity, even in jail, just like much like he is now. You know what I mean? That's why we gotta constantly keep him reverenced, keep him praised. Him and his son Yahweh Shai. It's very important that we do that, because you know what I mean. There's a point where the Most High's back was turned on us, but now he's starting to give us some attention and slowly turn back towards us. So it's important that, you know what I mean, we try to stay in his good graces. Reading forward here. It says, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy and gave him favor in the sight of the hand. All right, we already read that. It says, and the keeper of the prison locked not anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it prosper. We got moving on to Genesis chapter 40 here. Anybody want to add or bring up before we move on to the next chapter?
Nah.
Con. All right, we're gonna move on. It's Genesis chapter 40. It says, and it came to pass that after these things, that the butler and the king of the Egypt and his baker had offered their lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. Hey, slack you. All right. So where I leave verse 3, Genesis 40 and chapter 40, verse 3. It says, and he put them inward in his house of the captain of the guard into the prison in the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season inward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to the interpretation of his dream. But the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt were bound in the prison. And Joseph came into them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him inward of the Lord's house, saying, whereward looked so sadly today. He said, wherefore look ye so sadly today? He says, and they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpretation of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpreters belong to God? Tell me them, and I tell me them, I pray you. Verse 9, it says, and the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said unto him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine there were branches, and it was as though it budded, and the blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And the Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took grapes and pressed them into the Pharaoh's cup, and they gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it. The three branches of the are 3 days. Yet therein 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thine head and restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand, after the former matter when thou was his butler. He says, but think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. It's like, yo, this is your dream. This is what's going to happen. This is basically, your prophecy. If I, by me telling you this, you got to, I'm scratching your back. You got to scratch mine. When the opportunity is right, you got to bring it up like, yo, and try to get your boy out. So that's what's going on right now. Let's see. 15. It says, for indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here I also have done nothing that I should put me in this dungeon. When the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets in my head, 3 white baskets on my head, and in the uppermost basket there was all of manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. These 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet therein the 3 days the Pharaoh will lift up thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off thee. It says, and it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all his servants, that he lifted up his head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave unto his cup he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand, but he hang the chief, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted to them. It says, yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, who forgot him, but he forgot him. And that's Genesis 40. So we see Joseph still in jail right now, trying to get out. They didn't really get him. He didn't really get his justice just yet, but he's working towards that. We still got a couple more dreams to go before we see what happens with Joseph. We're going to stop at 40. We'll do 41, 2, 3, and 4 on the next Shabbat class. Let me see. Outside of that, anybody had anything they want to add or put in before we head out here?
Nah.
All right, Con. If that's it, then I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. Shalom. Y'all take care. Yahweh Shem Yahushai Barakatham.
Shalom.
Shalom, Akim.
Shalom, Akim.